Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here, and I've got back from week 9 of my BPD Steps programme, so I'm sorry I haven't been here for 2 weeks. I have been to all of my sessions. There wasn't a session last week. Last week on Wednesday it was actually my birthday, and it just so happened that it was the week that we'd agreed to have off because, oh my god, okay, the workwomen perhaps, I don't know, the work people are over there somewhere doing something, so I hope the audio in this video is going to be alright. Like, it's kind of on and off. I tried to time this video, like, I thought, oh, should I do it earlier? No, but they're still going, so yeah, I'm really sorry about that if this is a bit, yeah. If I suddenly move places in this video, it's because I've, like, finally had it with, oh my god, there's quite a lot of smoke, actually. Dust or smoke or something, I don't know what's going on. Can you hear, like, kind of like a saw, and yeah, I'm seeing white smoke, so I'm not sure what's going on. But yeah, I did go on week 8. I did make a video actually, about a 1.5 minute long video, maybe less, which I will put into the video in a moment. It's finally stopped. Thanks for stopping while I'm in mid-flow. You could have stopped before. But I'll put that in the video in a minute. But yeah, so that's the reason. So I think I apologised. I can't remember. I think I just said sorry, but I need to stop doing that in videos because I need to kind of get into my head that I don't need to apologise for everything, especially not on my own channel with my own videos. Like, I do it all the time and it's starting to really stand out for me, so like, slap on the wrist to my friends. So just before we get into it, I'm just going to put that little video in just to prove that I did go, but I just wasn't very well that day, and it was a really, really emotional day in the session itself, so yeah, enjoy! Hi guys, Claudia Boleyn here. I'm not making my usual vlog this week because I'm not feeling particularly well, but I have a break next week in my sessions, so you'll get a usual weekly video even though there's no session, and I will talk about what happened today. But I'm just checking in to say that I did do it even though I didn't feel very well. I'll tell you more about it in the next video, and I hope you're still enjoying the series of vlogs. Okay, I love you loads, and I'll put this on the start of my video for next week, so by the time you're seeing this it won't even matter. But yeah, I did go and it's done. Okay, I love you loads and I'll see you really soon. Look after yourself. Bye! So today's session was about distracting. So we've done distancing and we've done communicating, so it's part 1 of distracting today. So as you would predict, I assume, these are distraction techniques, so hopefully this will be helpful for some of you guys. I found today's session quite helpful because it feels like it's kind of moved on a bit. I felt like we were a bit stuck on the same thing because we had to keep going over it and kind of really get it into our brains, but I can see why we had to do that work before moving on. There's a lot of like positive affirmations and things, which is something I love because I watch a lot of ASMR, so sometimes when I feel really low and I'm not feeling well, I listen to ASMR like affirmation videos, so I'm thinking about making my own ASMR affirmation video. So yeah, hopefully I'll do that soon because I think they're really helpful. But we began by, there's this poem we've been reading which is an autobiography in 5 short chapters, it's called. And I think I've read you some of this before, but the tiny part of the poem we read today for chapter 4 is: I walk down the same street, there is a deep hole in the sidewalk, I walk around it. So I don't think I've read these every week, but essentially the story of this poem is there's a person and there's a hole in the street, or the sidewalk because this is American, in the pavement to us in the UK. The first time they fall into the hole, like they see it and they fall in and they're helpless and they just can't get out. The second time they pretend they don't see it and then they fall in. The same thing happens, it takes them a long time to get out. Number 3, they see the hole in the sidewalk, they see it there but they still fall in because it's a habit. Number 4, where we're at now, so you walk down the street, you see the hole, and then you walk around it. So we've reached common sense levels here, friends. It sounds really, really simplistic, and in some ways, like, I don't know if this poem is that helpful. There are some things in this course where I think things could be worded better or explained a little bit better. But basically, it's about recognising triggers. So you see the hole in the street, so you see the thing that's going to trigger you, like the issue, the problem. You can't get rid of the problem itself, like the hole is always going to be there, but you don't have to like fall into it. Like, you can walk around it, you can save it for later, you can just decide that you're not going to fall into that pit of despair at that moment. Like, there are ways around it. So much of this work does actually revolve around triggers, and I hate so much that talking about triggers online has become like this kind of checkmate social justice warrior thing, like, oh, are you triggered? Because it's actually something which is so helpful when you're talking about mental health, and it almost feels embarrassing to say it now. So thank you to all you losers out there who have now ruined social justice terminology and psychology terminology with your weirdness. I'm going to read you a little bit of the pack as usual. So, what is distancing? During an episode, it can be very difficult to overcome the intensity of the emotional experience and make yourself do something constructive and positive. Distracting yourself by actively doing an activity that you've practiced regularly and planned ahead of time is important because A, it sends your illness the message that you are going to be in control of how you behave and act, not the illness. B, it gives you something else to focus on until the emotional intensity decreases, and C or 3, it gives hope that the illness can be managed and that the emotional episode will not go on forever. And there's a warning here that says, do not distract yourself by taking major decisions about your life. You should not make major decisions about your life during an episode. If you do, you may regret it later. I 100% agree with that, by the way, from experience. I find that if I'm having an episode where I'm really upset with someone or really angry, I always now tend to wait before I address it with them, because if I'm still in that hurt place or that angry place, then I don't articulate myself as well as I could, and I just end up getting really upset and I don't think things through and I don't come across as well as I would like. So I tend to take a break and then talk it out with someone, and especially online, if I've had if there's something an issue online, I tend to kind of think it over, make sure I'm in a good place for it, and then just send a message. And that's happened before, so it's good. I'm getting quite good at the communicating side and articulating how I feel and doing that in a way that is polite and respectful, but also is a way of standing up for myself, because I feel like that's a really hard balance, because I'm someone who really values being polite and respectful, and my family's brought me up with I hope to have good manners, and that is important to me. I don't want to come across as someone who is rude, rude and obnoxious and horrible, but at the same time I don't want to be a pushover. And sometimes if you're focused on being polite and civil and being that person, and again I do think in some ways this is gendered, I think it can be a slightly different experience for women here. You're kind of taught to accommodate, and especially when I find I always end up taking this into politics, but I do think these issues are so merged, mental health and social justice stuff. I feel like if you're a woman talking, no matter how calmly and diplomatically you try to say something, it can be perceived as you being crazy and ranting and that sort of thing, because I've had the experience before where it's one of those experiences where having a brother is so valuable and interesting, because aside from the fact that Dan is just generally a wonderful addition to my life, he's valuable and interesting anyway, but yeah, that experience of having quite similar opinions on things, and Dan can say an opinion in the same way as me, and I'll be perceived as the bad one or the one that's too opinionated, whereas Dan will be praised. Dan can make a joke about something which is a bit edgy and people will be oh, that's really funny, and then I'll have to do it, I'll kind of say the same thing in less of an edgy way, because I'm already thinking, how do I have to navigate this as a woman? And I still get more stick for it. And this is an ongoing trend in life, so yeah, that's so frustrating. But yeah, I don't want to be that sort of person that can be walked over because I value those things, I don't want to let people use that as their excuse to mistreat me, I'm still going to stand up for myself. Also, on a darker note as well, thinking about making life decisions when you're really low, it's when you get really, really suicidal in a low and you decide to do something about it. In the past when I've self-harmed really badly or I've taken an overdose, that feeling rarely lasts for very long, but I've done that and then I'll end up at the hospital later and suddenly have that waking up moment where I kind of think, whoa, what have I done? This was ridiculous. Why is this happening? And it's just awful and embarrassing and you feel bad, and it's horrendous. I'm afraid you are going to have to hear that annoying drilling noise throughout this video. There's nothing I can do about it. The smoke is rising. Every time I see that smoke, I know that noise is coming. So what they gave us today is a list of distracting and self-soothing activities. Some of these are quite weird. Sometimes the paperwork with this course, I really value this course. I'm so grateful to be on it, but sometimes I think it's worded a bit weirdly, or the papers could be slightly better, there's still improvements to be made. Okay, so I'm just going to read the list as it is, okay, probably with comments, but still. Arrange furniture. Attend concert. Can I just say, I've annotated this in a sarcastic way because I couldn't help myself, but when you're in a really bad place, and you know how impulsive it can be with this condition, attend a concert? You can't just do that on a whim, can you? You have to book you can't just attend a concert. Anyway, the next one is clean house, which actually helps. I'm really into the KonMari method. I think it's KonMari, isn't it? The KonMari method, but it's by Marie Kondo. She does a show on Netflix about how to tidy and declutter, and I've actually found I love tidying and decluttering, and it chills me out, so I do that. Colouring, yeah, I like colouring, and for my birthday Dan got me an Umbrella Academy. One of the things he got me was an Umbrella Academy colouring book, so I'm excited about that. They say here you can play computer games, you can conduct music. I think do they mean compose music, like conduct music? I don't think... Was there just a conductor in that room when they brainstormed this? I conduct music when I feel bad. Okay, with my orchestra. Cook, cuddle in a blanket or with a stuffed animal. Cycling, dancing. I use dancing quite a lot. Like when I feel like hypermanic, I dance and just need to get that energy out of my system. Do your nails, do volunteer work, doodle or draw. I love doodling and drawing when I feel bad. Drive, eat chocolate. I don't know why eat chocolate is here, because I feel like I don't want to get into that unhealthy pattern of feeling bad and then needing to eat, because I've had like stuff with food before and I just don't feel like that's going to be good for me to associate, oh, I feel bad, I'm going to eat some chocolate. So I don't really think this should particularly be on the list. It doesn't seem very healthy to me. Eat popcorn also, finger paint, gardening, get a haircut. Now, okay, this sounds contradictory to me because they've just told us to not make life-changing decisions like when you're in an episode, like when you're just coming out of an episode or whatever. So I feel like getting a haircut when you're like either really high or really low, when you're really intense, is a bad idea. Personally, I don't think that's the best time to get a haircut. Get away is just one of these. I don't know where. Get feedback from others. Get or give a massage. I mean, I wish. Go fishing? No. Go to a movie. Go to a bookshop. Go to a sports event. Have some coffee, tea, or hot chocolate. That's a good one. When I feel like really low, I like to like have a cup of tea and watch some television or something. It just says hobby here. Just hobby. Not even a hobby, just hobby. Next one is hold or rub a pillow or stuffed animal, which seems very similar to another one, doesn't it? What's the difference between cuddle in a blanket or with a stuffed animal and hold, rub a pillow or stuffed animal? So there's a difference between the rubbing the animal and cuddling the animal. Jigsaw puzzles. I like jigsaw puzzles, but they're so like they get all over the place, but I actually really like this. Listen to music. Yeah, I have specific playlists for different moods, like especially for like bad mental health moods. So I actually listen to the opposite of what I feel, apart from when I feel particularly manic, because that's when I need to get energy out of me, so I put on like fast music, like really beaty music that I can kind of dance to and get that energy out. But if I feel sad, like I don't listen to my sad music, I go the other way and I listen to uplifting music. So don't fall into the trap of when you feel depressed, like listening to your depressed playlist, because that won't help. Listen to water is the next one. Yeah, it really does say listen to water, okay? Look at photos. Yeah, that can be really helpful. I look at photos quite a lot of like family stuff and like good times, and that helps. Look at stars or clouds. Meditate. My version of that is that I probably listen to some ASMR, like guided relaxation or something. Meet friends for a coffee. Mow the lawn. Paint. I find that painting is not very good for me as a distracting activity, because I love painting, I do paint a lot, but it's something that I need to dedicate time to. Like I can't just, when I'm feeling in like a big mood like that, just sit down and paint something. I don't really work like that. People watch. I love people watching so much. Play a musical instrument. Yeah, I need to play my guitar more often. Play with bubbles, play with clay, play with paper clips, play with a pet, play with water/bubbles. Why is play with bubbles and play with water/bubbles? Like, they're two different activities. There's playing with bubbles, and then there's the whole other experience of playing with water and bubbles. Read a child a story. Read a magazine. Read positive affirmations. I listen to positive affirmations when, you know how I watch ASMR and I listen to the affirmation videos, like that's really nice. Rearrange furniture. We've already had arrange furniture, like arrange furniture, perhaps rearrange furniture, perhaps rearrange that furniture. Ride the bus. I don't know why that's funny to me. Ride the bus. Like, ride. It doesn't sound right. Like, you don't ride the bus, you get on the bus. Like, I don't ride the bus. Ride a horse. I mean, who did they have in this first session when they thought this up? I mean, respect to them for this, but who has a horse? Who just thinks, oh, I'm going to I'll just get on my horse and ride that horse. Of course, you're like, yeah, we all just got a horse in the back garden. A rocking chair? It just says rocking chair. It doesn't say sit in the rocking chair. It just says rocking chair. So, yeah, I mean, I quite like cross-stitching, but it's quite fiddly, so it's more of a kind of de-stress activity. Like, I do like to cross-stitch. shower, that's always good, especially if you have like a self-harm urge or something, because of the sensation. Like, you can get in a really cold shower, because it almost does feel like that self-punishment thing that you kind of are after sometimes when you self-harm, but it's not something that actually causes you like proper harm. And also it's always nice to be clean. Sing/lip sync, sit by a pond or stream, sit in the sun. I mean, you know that one was not written in the UK, because how often can we just sit in the sun? Sleep/rest, play solitaire on the computer or with cards. I actually like to play crib online. My granddad taught me how to play cribbage and I love it now. Swing, it just says swing. Swing as in like a swing? Swing as in like being a swinger? Like, what's swing? Take a bath. Tear paper/yarn. Tear yarn. Who tears yarn? I don't want to be disrespectful to anyone who tears yarn. I've just never heard of that before. I do own yarn because of like cross stitch and crafts, but I've never torn yarn. Tidy the yard. Visit other people. Volunteer. Didn't we already have volunteer? Do volunteer work, it says. I really feel like someone needs to check this because there's so much repeated stuff. Walking is a really good one. When I feel like really het up and like kind of angry manic, or like, oh, I just have to get stuff out of my system, it's so nice to just walk. Watch aquarium, as in go to the aquarium. I think they mean, like, rather than just like watch aquarium. Don't even go into the aquarium, just sit outside the aquarium and watch it. Watch people. We've already had that, haven't we? Yes, we have people again. Right, so we've got watch people or people watch. What would you prefer? Watch television. Watching television is such a good idea, and I find myself watching Netflix all the time because whenever I get really stressed, you know how I connect with TV shows, so I'll watch like Emmerdale stuff on YouTube, or I will watch videos on YouTube of like compilations of my favourite character scenes, so I'll just be like, oh, Sansa Stark scenes from Game of Thrones please, or Klaus Hargreaves scenes from The Umbrella Academy. I've got window shopping here as an idea of what to do. Okay, word puzzles. Work is one of them. Yeah, I mean, obviously with my course I have a lot of work to do anyway, so it's good if I can train myself into, when I feel bad, using my work as a distraction. At the moment they're kind of at odds, because when I feel bad I feel like I can't work, and I think that's the perfectionism again, where I feel like I've got to be in that perfect state of mind to do it. But I suppose it's better to just try and get stuff done no matter how I feel. The next one is work on a project. The next one is write, and in brackets it says journal. Yeah, I mean, I write like fan fiction and little bits of dialogue and little parts of plays or character ideas all the time. I'm writing a lot every day. So I'm working on numerous like fan fictions and stuff for my course, creative writing pieces, and I just find that really calming, and I've always done that. I did that when I was at my very worst at school. I used to have a journal with me and I just used to write creative writing pieces all the time, and it just really helped me and was like one of the only things I can actually remember about lots of my darkest times, is that I used to just like write to zone out. So that was something my brain already did. And then last of all it says yoga. So I would recommend yoga as well. I just think it's it's like non-strenuous, because it's not like you don't have to like go out and run and get really sweaty. It's just like a good way to work out that just calms you down. I love yoga. So the next part is about positive affirmations and encouraging statements. So I'll just read you the first bit. Positive affirmations describe the way you want to be, or new behaviours you want to do, such as being able to say no to someone, allowing yourself to make mistakes, or make lifestyle changes like healthier eating choices or exercising regularly. Positive affirmations are like the pilot of a ship steering the vessel in the direction he wants it to go. I feel like I've always been a picky person anyway, but there are issues with this. My first issue is the pilot of a ship. Do we mean the captain of the ship? I think we do. And steering the vessel in the direction he wants it to go. I'm sorry, but why are we assuming it's a he here? The captain of my positive affirmation ship is definitely a woman. And then also there's encouraging statements. So these are statements that describe what you are like now, encouraging you to remember your positive qualities. So they are like rowing a boat, doing the work of moving forward by focusing on your progress. Encouraging statements remind you to celebrate your current positive qualities and where you are at right now. Encouraging statements can come from other people who tell you the positive qualities they see in you, such as being a loyal friend, fun to be with, or a hard worker. Perhaps you can remember some of the encouraging statements you've heard in the past. So what they've done is they've listed some examples of positive affirmations and encouraging statements. So the ones they've listed here are: I am a lovable person. I am facing my fears and becoming stronger each day. I allow myself to feel my feelings. I'm replacing self-destructive behaviours with self-caring ones. I'm taking care of myself in loving ways. I am enjoying supportive, healthy relationships. I am giving myself credit for my accomplishments. I am setting limits with others. I am treating myself with respect. I am asking others for help and support when I need it. So we were asked to put down some other ideas for positive affirmations here. So these are the ones I came up with for myself. I thought about these for quite a while. So mine are: I am learning and growing constantly. I am recognising my strengths and identifying my weaknesses so I can work on them if I need to. I am asserting myself politely. I am setting boundaries and communicating. I am accepting that I am loved even when I don't love myself. I am not torturing myself over my mistakes. I am trying my best to be a good and kind person. I am finding enjoyment in life. I am accepting myself and my individuality. Even if I am not proud of everything in my life, I am proud of my growth and commitment to improving. So a theme with a lot of mine, I think a lot of us are finding themes as we work through this stuff that we kind of always knew were there, but it's hard to kind of get into your own kind of psyche, isn't it, and think about that stuff. But a lot of mine is about change and growth, and some of my issues of having low self-worth are feeling like I'm an awful person and a bad person, and I know why I feel like that because of there are some life experiences that for some reason they give you those internal filters of feeling like you're just like worthless and you're nothing, and it's really hard to get past those. But something that actually, you know, being involved in social justice and things like that has helped me with is the idea that we make choices every day about who we want to be, and that's why I'm someone who believes so strongly in forgiveness and I was going to say redemption. I don't really think that's necessarily always something that can be achieved, but I do believe that everyone can make choices and be better. So no matter what your past is, you can always be better, even the worst people. And I think that's kind of what we have to strive for. When you have something like EID, you really do torture yourself over small mistakes. So you will lie in bed at night and you'll think about like silly things you've said in the day, or if you've had an argument with someone, you'll think, oh god, I said something really hurtful. And instead of just thinking to yourself, okay, I said something hurtful that I didn't mean, and it's okay because I can apologise and I won't say it again. You torture yourself and you're like, okay, well I'm a worthless person and people would be better off without me, and it's just you know, it's not helpful. I also think that there's a danger in thinking of yourself as like being a good or kind person, so I try to be those things. I'm always trying to be good and kind, and like when I slip up I do really like beat myself up about it, because I feel like it's the perfectionism again. Like I just feel like I have to be perfect, but I want to be a good and nice person, and if I ever let myself down I feel disappointed and just upset, and like I know I could do better. But I'm trying to tell myself that if I make a mistake it's not the end of the world, and it's the same with like my perfectionism with work and that kind of thing, you know, with schoolwork. It's if you make a mistake, the mistake is made. There's no good in like dwelling on it and like getting stuck in the hole, like they said in the poem at the beginning. I'm trying to take all my ups and downs and all my experiences as experiences for growth, really, because there's been some really bad stuff in my life, but there's also been some really good things, and there's been mistakes I've made, and there's things I wish I'd done differently, and there's stuff that I just completely just don't have or remember because I was that ill when I was younger that I don't know where my head even went. But I'm just using it all as growth and learning. Like I hope to be learning and growing until the day I die. You know, I want to still be doing this work when I'm an old woman, hopefully, if I reach that age. So something that we did, which is a really nice idea, but again, I don't know if it really worked. It's an encouraging exercise where we used to do this thing at school, in our junior school, called Special Person, where every week or something it would be a different member of the class and you'd be chosen as the special person, and that meant that everyone had to write down something really nice about you on a piece of paper, and then at the end of the day you got to take the paper home, and it was really nice. It was a lovely idea. So we had these sheets today where we all wrote our name on one, and people had to write down what they like about us, what our strengths and good qualities are, and what they appreciate about us, which is a lovely idea, 100%. But I think it was a bit silly to put this in the 9th week of the course, because I still feel like we don't all know each other that well yet. We're not that close. I mean, I have a level of like trust and respect for the people in that group. I feel very safe in the group and I have a lot of admiration for people, but I feel like I don't know everyone one-on-one that well yet, because there just hasn't been that time. I feel like I'm still getting to know people. So it felt like a weird time to do it. So quite a lot of people opted out and said, look, I just don't know enough about people. I tried to do it just in terms of what I've heard from people and just the vibes I get and that sort of thing, and obviously there are people in the group I know more than others. It was really nice, I got some really nice comments, but I still think this would have been way more valuable towards the end of the course, to be honest. I feel like this should have been on perhaps the last or the second to last thing, and it would have been a nice exercise to go away with, really. So in a way I feel like it was a bit of a waste. I feel like it took up time and it just wasn't as valuable as it could have been, and it's especially difficult because there are some people in the group who are very introverted and don't talk that much, and that's fine. You know, how you engage is up to you. I mean, there's nobody in the group who's obstructive at all. Everyone, you know, is working really hard on their own stuff, but obviously some people prefer not to speak very much, or you know, they keep themselves to themselves, and that's fine. So it almost felt a little bit like embarrassing or punishing for them somehow. So I just didn't think that was very good. I'm gonna read you the nice stuff that people wrote about me, just because it's nice. Yeah, I was really pleased. So they put that they liked my voice, my dress sense, my makeup. They said that I seem very kind and accepting of everyone. And someone said that I'm stronger than I think and a lovely, caring girl. And we did it anonymously, so we don't know who wrote what. So it's really nice that people think that of me, because especially with BPD, you do instantly think people are going to think badly of you, and you're very self-conscious in a lot of ways, and you think, oh god, what do people think of me? And often it's a lot nicer than you would think. I think some of us have just had bad experiences with nasty people, and it's just stuck that in our heads when most people don't think those nasty things. Some of my strengths and good qualities, according to the group, are that I open up to the group, that I listen to everyone and acknowledge everybody, that I am tenacious and brave, that I am non-judgmental, and that I open up and am honest. It's nice to be called tenacious and brave, because I don't feel like I am that brave. Like in some ways I am, but in other ways I'm not. So it's nice that is something people see, because I do think that we're all learning as a group and as a society in some ways that there's bravery in being, you know, vulnerable and talking about your struggles, and that is not a weakness, it's bravery, it's quite courageous, so that's nice to hear. I also like that they put I'm non-judgmental as well, because I always worry that I'm going to come across as stuck up, because when I was at school, I mean, my voice does not sound like everyone else around here in this area. Like, I don't have the accent that people around the Medway towns around here tend to have. And people think that because of my voice, or they thought because of my voice, that I came from a lot of money or something, which I don't. Obviously, my dad came over from India and his family do not have money. And my mum's a single parent. I'm lucky, like my grandma and granddad are quite reasonably well off, but we're not like, by any stretch of the imagination, we're not like wealthy people, and I think people thought because of my voice that I was, and the reason I have this voice is simply because my grandma was taught English, and she kind of got my mum to speak in a certain way, and I copied my mum and my grandma, I guess, and now I have this voice, so that's where it's from. But yeah, it doesn't sound like everyone else from around here, really. I always worry that I'm going to come across as this stuck-up person because of the voice, so I'm really glad that's not the case, because yeah, at school I think people really did think I was stuck up until they knew me, and then they realised I wasn't. But I think they did think so at first. And the last thing they put here is I appreciate your courage, your bravery to speak out, how you don't judge anyone, they appreciate me being gentle and friendly but not overbearing, and again being brave. I love that I'm coming across as like not a judgmental person. That came across quite a lot in this, and I'm glad that people think that about me, because I don't think I'm a judgmental person. I try not to be, so that's really nice. And even if like I do get a judgy thought, I kind of train myself into like, I wouldn't dwell on it. I would just think, okay, well that's a society judgy thing and I don't want to listen to it, I don't care. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I feel like it shows growth in myself, because when I was younger I was definitely a more judgy person, so I've changed. So last of all, in this video and in the session, is that we had to write a list of our own, well this is actually a homework task, but I did it when I was waiting. Write a list of your own positive affirmations and encouraging statements. So I haven't done the I appreciate section, because that kind of feels weird about yourself. Like, what do I appreciate about myself? But I've got what I like about me and my strengths and good qualities, in my opinion. So what I like about me, I've put down my brain, because I'm quite artistic and creative. I've put that I like my individuality, that I like the way I see the world, I like how I stand up for myself without being rude, I like my ability to understand people, and I like being quite empathetic. In some ways I've regarded some of these qualities as being weaknesses before, like how emotional I am, but I'm starting to view these things as my strengths. You know, there's like a double-edged sword in a way. So yeah, I'm a very emotional person and I get very invested, and that can hurt me, but in some ways that's a positive, because it means I have a lot of empathy and can help other people, and it helps me with my writing because I understand characters and psychologies and can put myself in other people's shoes. And I'm trying to appreciate the individual way that I see the world, because that's something that I felt bad about before, you know, being a bit different in terms of the way I think, but that's not a bad thing, so I want to celebrate that. And then I put my strengths and good qualities are that I stand up for others even at the expense of myself, that I work hard, that I keep fighting, that I still see the good in the world and in others, that I'm forgiving, that I always try to be kind, that I am creative, that I use my pain to create good, that I am resourceful, and that I respect myself. I remember when I was at school, one of my teachers wrote in my report that I was a fierce defender of the underdog. It's a quote about myself which I've always remembered, and it's one of the only things that I've ever felt really proud of. To do with school and just my childhood in general, it's really stuck with me because it just resonated so much, because it was the person I wanted to be and it made me proud. So I think that probably is one of my strengths, is that I can stand up for myself and for other people, and I am the sort of person that if something bad is happening to somebody, then I will stand up for them, even if I'm afraid to do it. Like I think people they have a misconception of people who stand up and speak out, because they think that we don't find it scary, but I do find it scary. I get really nervous. Sometimes when I have to confront people, I get shaky and it really hurts me afterwards, especially if it's someone I like or respect. But I tend to think it's best if someone is cruel to someone, then you have to stand up for someone, don't you? You just have to do it. And you also have to stand up for yourself and set boundaries, and it's really hard. So I do see it as a strength, because even though it's difficult, especially with me being so emotional, I do try and stand up for other people and for myself. I do work hard, and I think I've been called lazy a lot, like before my family realised I had like depression, sometimes I'd get called lazy because I wouldn't get out of bed and things, and this is obviously before we understood any of this stuff, and now they would never say anything like that to me, and I always internalised that I was lazy, and I guess to myself I thought I was, because I missed school and I couldn't get out of bed, and I couldn't understand how all my friends were going out and doing stuff and I just was not getting out of bed and I was just crying all the time. But that was never laziness, that was my illness. And it's really freed me, having the diagnosis and understanding myself, to realise that's not a personality trait. That was a symptom of my illness, and in fact I'm actually a hard worker, because I'm doing a degree by myself from home and I'm getting really good grades, and that's all my own work. I just do that all myself, so I am actually a really hard worker, and I'm not at all lazy. And the one about seeing good in the world and in others is important to me, because you see a lot of people and they go through bad stuff and you really feel bad for them, but it turns them into people who are colder people, as a protection, and I completely understand that and I really empathise with that feeling. But I do not want to be that person. I never want to be cold or mean because I have been treated in a certain way. I don't want to be like that. I want to be able to see the good in the world and in other people, and I often get told that I'm too critical of things, especially in fandom and of people, and I criticise a lot in terms of politics and worldviews and all different things like that. But I do see the good in people, and I try to stay positive when I can. So I kind of feel like, as well as criticising the bad stuff, I try to praise the good stuff and look at all those good, positive things. Actually, one more I just wanted to speak about is that I respect myself one. I don't really think I love myself. I don't think I've ever loved myself, and I do have issues with self-worth and things like that, and that's difficult to come to terms with. I do find that really hard, but I do respect myself, which is the first step, I think, and I have a lot of respect for myself, and that's why I think as I'm getting older I don't stand for other people disrespecting me, and I will stand up for myself. And I've had lots of fairly recently I had an issue where there's someone I really admired and respected, and I really felt quite I didn't feel their behaviour was quite right. I felt a bit disrespected, I felt a bit patronised, and I just felt like it was a pattern of behaviour that I was feeling a bit, oh, I don't think this is right, and I kind of ummed and ahed over it, and I kind of thought, should I say something? Should I, like, assert myself? And I thought about, like, all my, like, therapy and everything, and I just kind of thought, yes, the right thing to do is to politely set boundaries and assert myself and communicate. So it's what I did. And, yeah, I'm glad, and I feel like I do have that respect for myself now, that I do stand up for myself in quite a polite way. I try to be civil about stuff, but I do stand up for myself, and it's a quality I'm kind of nurturing, and I'm hoping I can take forward as I get older, because I like that side of myself. I like that I'm able to stand up for myself. If others disrespect me, then I can stand up for myself and say, well, I am worthy of respect, and I'm worthy of being treated with a certain level of decency, and I'm worthy of not being patronised or put down. You know, I am a person just like you're a person, and the very least that I want is to be treated equally, and I deserve to be treated equally. Okay, so that's the end of the video for today. Hopefully I'm not going to have to cut out too much DIY noises, whatever they're doing over there with their white smoke that keeps billowing up into the air. I love you loads. I'll see you really soon. I'll see you next week. Okay, love you. Bye.